How's everybody doing tonight? Good. Ready for a new series, Break Every Chain? We got a new song. How'd y'all have the new song tonight? Yeah? See, we did the new song called Break Every Chain, and we're starting a series called... Nice, good job. You're picking up on it. I like it. Let's give it for the band one more time, leading us in worship tonight. Very powerful, very powerful. We're just so blessed to be here tonight. I want to give a quick shout out. I just love Fuse and love this student ministry. Beforehand, I was walking around out there talking to all of you, and a little girl came up, Riley Wood, and gave me a bracelet that says Jesus, #Jesus on it, that she makes. So shout out to Riley. Isn't that just so cool? Is that not cool? We have students just passing out bracelets that say Jesus. I thought it was cool. I think it's a great thing, you know, our students finding creative ways, all of you finding creative ways, right, to tell people about Jesus. So anytime you can get creative with inviting your friends, making bracelets, whatever it is, to invite them or to tell them about Jesus, do it, okay? Do it. Always a good thing. So tonight we are kicking off our new series called Break Every Chain. We're going to be going through one story in the Bible found in Mark 5, found in Matthew 8, and Luke 8 is about one man who is wrestling with all these demons and wrestling with darkness, and we're going to watch Jesus interact with him and Jesus save him eventually over the course of this story. So we're doing one story, and we're breaking it down to 5 weeks, okay? So we are very excited to do this, very excited to go through this story, but at a base level to give you an understanding of what this series is and what this series means and why we're doing it is because we wanted Break Every Chain to be a series that teaches us about Jesus' authority and Jesus' ability, that we have to believe as Christians that Jesus can set us free from any struggle or any chain holding us back from a life with him. That we have to believe that he has the power and he has the ability to set us free. And so as we go through this series and break down this story, I hope that you can show up for each of the weeks. I know sometimes you can't with sports, all the things, but if you can watch it come together and watch how we go through this story and see it kind of culminate and come together over the weeks, I think it'll be a very, very powerful way to learn about the character of Jesus. But to start tonight, you know, I'm not going to start and do the whole story tonight. Every great story has a great beginning, doesn't it? Every great story has a great beginning, or it has a really bad beginning, right? It's either one, you know? It's like some stories that are awesome, they have a really good beginning, or they have, you know, like a, not so good beginning. Like I think about a TV show, right? Some of your favorite TV shows, I bet they have a little song that plays at the beginning of it, right? Like it's stuck in your head, right? You're all thinking about it right now, right? You're all thinking about that one show that has that one song, that you have to play in your head after you watch it. It's stuck in your head when you go into bed. It's stuck in your head the next day at school. They have a great beginning that kind of intros you into the show every single time. And so tonight, we're going to cover the beginning of this story, kind of the origin, kind of the prequel. Y'all know what I mean when I say prequel? Anybody know what that means? Yes? The events leading up to the story is what we're going to cover tonight because it's super important to cover this part of the story because it kind of sets up the rest of it. It shows us the why, it shows us the how of what Jesus is doing in this story. So, the beginning of our story starts in Luke 8:22. It says, one day Jesus got into a boat with his disciples and said to them, let's go across to the other side of the lake. So, they set out. So, first point, Jesus sets a course to the other side. Jesus sets a course to the other side. We're going to talk about this more in the middle and at the end of this sermon about the other side, and we're going to learn why the other side is important. But starting off, Jesus sets the course for the other side. And I don't know if you noticed, but look how Jesus says, right? He says, let's go across to the other side. And they don't question, right? They just say, okay. And I was thinking about something that I've seen, on the social medias about the group leader. Like there's like a group leader, that everybody knows. I can see it over there, Luke. I see, you know what I'm talking about. Who in here believes they're the group leader? I just want to, don't raise your hand. Don't raise your hand for that. Please don't raise your hand for that. Please don't raise your hand for that. But Jesus is the group leader, okay? They are following Jesus, all right? He says, let's go. They say, here we go. Let's do it. So they're crossing to the other side. And I want to talk about this for a second and just kind of start from this standpoint that everything Jesus does has a purpose. Riley kind of talked about it actually earlier, that there is nothing that happens that Jesus is working in, controlling, that does not have purpose. Everything Jesus does has purpose. And we're going to see that there's a purpose to going to the other side. There's a plan to cross to the other side. As we get through this sermon, get through this story, we will see what that purpose is. Because I just want to tell you that the sea, it's called the Sea of Galilee. Everybody say the Sea of Galilee. The sea that they are about to cross is known for its storms, okay? It's known for its hurricanes. There's some really bad weather that occurs on this sea. It's kind of like how Little Elm Beach is known. Those volleyball courts always get flooded every single time there's a little bit of rain. You know what I'm talking about? That same level of being, that's how it is, all right? That's how it's known that this place, this sea is known for its bad storms. And these disciples, to give you context, the ones that are following the group leader, following Jesus, they are fishermen, all right? So if anybody knows, anybody has experience with this sea, it's who? The disciples, right? So, setting this all up, right? Jesus says, let's go to the other side. And sure enough, in the next verse, it says, as they sailed, he fell asleep. Now, did Jesus snore? I can't say for sure, okay? But there's a chance, okay? There's a chance. But it says what? Now a violent windstorm, right, came down on the lake, and the boat started filling up with water. I don't know if y'all know about boats, but that's typically not a good thing when the boats are filling up with water, okay, just to inform you. And it says that they were in danger. They came and woke him saying, Master, Master, we are about to die. Now, I don't know if you've ever been in a really bad storm before. I know we kind of had some hail last week, and we've kind of faced some storms maybe in the past couple years. But anybody been through a really bad storm, you're in your house, the house is shaking kind of thing? Yes? Nobody? Yes? Let me see. You all awake out there? Yes? Yes? We've all seen some storms, right? Who has a fear of storms? Anybody? Oh, wow, that's a lot. Yeah. I gotta say, I think a lot of the time, sometimes our fear of storms, right, are a result of some storms that we've seen. For me, when I was about 5 years old, a wee lad, a young buck, we lived over off 423 behind the Domino's that I think now is slinging pizza or something like that. I don't know what it's called over there, but it's changed, all right? So we lived over there. And we've been in this house for about 5 years. I was about 5 years old. I was being preschooled from home. Silas, my little brother, who plays drums right here, he's just a baby, just a wee little baby, sleeping on the couch. I was playing Clue with my mom, sometimes preschool. We took some breaks. It's okay, I'm going to graduate college soon. Okay, so I made it. But we were playing Clue at the table. And right as I was about to say, let's say Colonel Mustard did it, killed the guy in the kitchen with a knife, whatever. Right as I'm about to say that, all right, 3 things happen. The first thing that happens is, I don't know if you've ever been in a place where a sudden really loud noise happens and your ears start ringing. Anybody know that feeling? My ears start ringing and I literally cannot hear anything else. First thing. Second thing that happens, everything goes white. And it was at this point in my 5-year-old brain that I was like, I'm dead. This is the end. It's been a good life so far. It's been good, but this is it. And the third thing that happened, I don't know if you ever felt this feeling, but you ever lean back in a chair and that feeling right before you might fall and you're like, oh, and then you get back down, So I had that feeling, except I never went back down. I went back, Anybody ever fallen in class before, leaning back in your chair? And the whole class just looks at you and they're like, what are you doing? Well, I know we're teenagers, but what are you doing, Look at you on the floor. Get it together. But I was on the ground now. So 3 things happen in a second. I'm talking a second. I can't see anything. My ears are ringing. I'm on the floor. And what happened is that there was a storm going on outside. It was raining really hard. And it was just one of those, rainy days. But a lightning bolt struck our backyard. And the light came through the window. It was so close that it was so loud. Now you ask yourself, well, how did I end up on the ground? This is where this story gets good, okay? My mother, okay, is a bit of a reactor, okay? And I love her. And if you scare my mom, anything like that, she's gonna scream, okay? Like someone is murdering her, okay? Every time. So, Part of the noise was her screams, but but she goes to grab me out of the chair, and as she goes to grab me out of the chair, instead of grabbing me, she grabs the chair. So she goes to run, the chair is gone, Titus is on the floor, and Silas is still asleep on the couch. And that's where we're at in that moment. That's where we were at in that moment. But from that time on in my life, I had a fear of storms. The next couple years, every time there was a bad storm, I would go downstairs, right? You go to your parents and you want them to, protect you. So from that point on, I always ran to the people I believed could protect me from the storm going on because of my past experiences. And I think storms in our lives, I think storms in our lives that we face, not physical, right? Spiritual, mental storms, things like that we go through, that there are times when those storms leave a certain amount of scars. And those storms affect us for years to come. And for me, how it affected me in the physical is that I went to my parents who I thought could protect me from the storm. And so my question to you now is, when you face storms in your life, who do you turn to? Where do you go? For the disciples here, right, we see them go to Jesus. They say, we're about to die. Do you not see? You're sleeping. We're about to die out here, Jesus. Wake up. But they turn to Jesus, and I think there's three things I'm going to go through tonight of things we say about the storm that I think hurt us and hurt our mindset when we face storms in our lives. And the first one I think that we say is, I can handle it. I can handle it. I'm strong enough. You don't know my bench PR. I can handle some emotions, right? You don't know how many followers I have. You know how people like my Instagram post? A lot. I don't need help. I can handle it. I got it. And you have to look at this story as a good example of when the storm happens that we can't handle, we get overwhelmed. These are, again, seasoned fishermen, okay? They've been here before, all right? They've experienced the sea. They've experienced storms before, but this storm was different. And they are so scared. Again, people who know this terrain, who know this area, they are at a point where they're so scared that they're saying, Jesus, we're going to die. And I think that the fallout, the negative part that happens if we try to live like this, if we try to live like I can handle it on my own, is that when that storm is too much, and there will be a storm that is too much for you, it will overwhelm you. And I'd hate to watch some of you as the waters are crashing over your ship and as the winds are raging around you, that you're standing there alone on that boat saying, no, I can handle it. When obviously you can't. Obviously it is too much. But you've gotten so used to pushing the feelings and the struggles so deep down. You've gotten so used to covering and taking it on and carrying it around just for you to know and you to handle, that you've gotten so comfortable in that when all these storms happen in your life, your reaction is to say, I can handle it. We don't ask for help. And then when that storm finally gets too much for us, what happens? And I'll tell you, to be vulnerable with y'all, like this is something I struggle with. It's hard. It's hard to open up. It's hard to let people in. It's hard to let people love you, especially if you've been burned. Especially if people have hurt you. Especially if authority figures in your life have let you down, disappointed you. It's hard. It's hard to let people in. But I'll tell you, I'm having to learn this just as much as you, that we cannot go through this life alone. That at the end of the day, our mindset has to change from I can handle it to I need Jesus. I need Jesus. And I know that's a very simple phrase, but I think it's much more difficult to apply to our lives than we think. Because I think we can say it a lot of the times, but we don't live it a lot of the times. Like we say in church, oh yeah, I know I need Jesus. Somebody asks you, what can I pray for? Oh, for me to have more Jesus in my life. But then when we go home, when we go to school the next day, we're not living like I need Jesus. We're living again like I can handle it. I'm strong enough. And I would invite you, as a person who has struggled with this and a person who has made this change, when you finally say, Jesus, I can't do it. I can't carry this load. I can't hold this weight. When you finally give it to him and allow him to carry it, allow him to step in, the change that occurs, the weight lifted off your shoulders. If you think about it in a weightlifting, kind of way, I don't know if you've ever gone for a PR. I'm sure a lot of you boys have, girls. I'm sure you have too. Gone for a personal record, let's say on bench, right? I'll tell you what, I learned a lesson one time. I tried to hit my max, okay? My maximum bench alone. No spotter, okay? Nobody. And I was alone. I was going to Anytime Fitness, and I was alone. I like to go at night. Back then, I used to go at night, like at 2, 3 a.m., okay? Yeah, I know some of y'all are like, that's crazy. And I decided a smart thing to do was to try to, hit my maximum weight at that moment, okay? And I don't know if it happened to you before, but when you go up, okay, when you start up, and then you go down, and then you realize that you can't go back up, that's a scary moment, okay? That's like a roller coaster drop, you feel like, I don't know if I'm getting out of here today. I don't know if I'm walking out of here today. So I did the whole roll down, trying to get out of there, Clearly survived, right? But look, I was alone, and the weight was too much. And I think I look at some of you, and I talk to some of you, and I am seeing that same picture and how you deal with that struggle that nobody knows about. And how you deal with that, relationship that keeps failing but you keep going back to. And how you deal with the stress and anxieties that you go through today. I watch the storms that you have, and I watch you try to carry it on your own. We have small groups and community around you for you to be able to lean on and talk to and talk through so that you can share the struggles you're going through. We have leaders, adult leaders, who are here to support you. And so as we go to small groups tonight, I pray that this hits some of you, that you know and you realize that there is a time when the storm is too much. Now, we look at what happens again as they're talking to him. So they said, Jesus, we're going to die. And it says that he's asleep on the cushion. And they woke him up and said to him, Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing? God, do you not care? Do you not care that I'm dying here? God, do you not care that the waves are coming overboard? They say, God, Jesus, where are you at? Do you not care about me? And I think that the second thing we tell ourselves when we face storms that get us into bad places is that if God loves me, I shouldn't have to go through storms. Anybody thought this before? Thought something like this before? Well, if God why am I going through this if God loves me so much? How come there is a storm to go through? I think sometimes we want to believe that when we have Jesus in our life and we're going to church, that means that nothing bad's going to happen to our lives anymore. But there's two things that we have to acknowledge within that mindset is that just because you've chosen to follow Jesus, the rest of the world hasn't. That there's still darkness and evil out there trying to take what you have found. And the second thing is that this is a hard truth, so get ready for this. What I've learned and seen is that things get stronger as a result of being tested, not as a result of things being easy. You get stronger when you work out consistently and do it over and over again, and it's difficult and it's hard, and you're testing how strong you are every day, and that's how you build muscle. The way you get better at a class or in school is you study, you do it over and over again. You test yourself on what you know, and that teaches you what you need to learn more about, and it makes you better. So I think we know these things, and it's basic understanding in our minds in those areas of life. But then when it comes to faith, we say, well, why am I being tested here? And I wonder where that disconnect happens. Because I think what we have to realize is that the storms we go through are opportunities for our faith to grow, are opportunities for us to lean on Jesus, to turn to Jesus in these moments, right? We talked about the mindset before of I can handle it. This is saying, Jesus, I know I can't handle it, and I am turning to you. Because I think when we face these storms, we get bitter. We get angry. But if that storm draws you closer to Jesus than you were before, man, can you really say that storm wasn't the right thing? Now, I know people are going through things, and I'm not saying that what you went through or what you've been through was a good thing that happened. But I will say, when our faith is tested and we stand firm in our faith with Jesus, on the other side, which we're about to get to, your faith will be a faith that you can say, my faith survived the storm. That when I went through that, when I was struggling with that, my faith survived. I did not shy away. I leaned into Jesus, and I can't stand it when I see people going through storms. And I know I've been this person before. I'm not trying to condemn anyone, but it's sad. It's so sad to me to see people go through storms in their life and they lose their faith along the way. If they just hold on, the other side was coming. And what was on the other side was what Jesus was doing in the storm. It was going to prepare them for what was to come, but they gave up in the middle. And I'd hate for you to give up in the middle when God is preparing you for the other side. That just because you're in a storm, it doesn't mean that Jesus has left you. Clearly, he's right there, ready and waiting for them to invite him in to the situation. So then it says in the next verse, and he awoke, and he rebuked the wind and said to the sea, peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. Jesus gets up and says, I got this. I got this. Peace, be still. All of a sudden, nothing. Silence. You ever been somewhere with like this super loud music, or maybe it's in here sometimes, I get it. But other places where it's like super loud, maybe a lot of people are talking at a pep rally, whatever it is, and all of a sudden it gets really quiet. Like, that's kind of an uncomfortable moment, right? Like everything gets really loud, everything gets silent. Imagine the disciples' perspective right here, right? Everything was about to kill them. They were about to die in their minds. And then all of a sudden, Jesus sits up in his bed, peace be still, silence. See, I think what we see is the disciples took action. They took action in this moment. They turned to Jesus. And I think the third thing that we do sometimes is that we say, I'll wait till the storm is over to experience the peace. And now what I mean by that is I think some of us, we just believe since we're in the storm that we should stay in the storm until the storm is over. That we say, you know what? I mean, at this point, it's already bad, so how much worse can it get? And we will stay in the storm to find out how bad it can get. And we say, you know, I guess that's just how it is right now. I guess that's just who I am right now. I guess that's just how it's going to be right now. It's tough because we say to ourselves, I'll wait till the worst possible thing happens, and then I'll change. I'll wait till it goes super bad, and then I'll turn it around. I'll wait till the addiction gets to a point to where I can't go a day without it. You know, I'll just wait until there's decisions that have to be made about the future with my girlfriend or with my boyfriend that I'm not supposed to be making yet. I'll just wait until I'm failing the class. I'll just wait, until I'm benched because I can't get my attitude. I'll just wait till I'm arrested. Then I'll start changing. But I'm going to wait until I've reached the end before turning around. But clearly what happens is that when we reach those points, when we reach these events in our lives that we can't now just get out of, that we can't turn back from, where does it leave us? It leaves us with no options. And it leaves us now scarred. And I think that the world today is so filled with chaos and darkness and all the scrolling and all of the things the sexual things that have been made to be normalized and made to be popular, that it's become so easy to get so comfortable in chaos. And I've watched some of you at Fuse Camp experience for the first time freedom from that chaos, and it is emotional, and it's elation, it's joy, it's a freedom because you've gotten so desensitized and used to darkness and chaos that it's become normal. It is so loud in your world. There are so many voices and in things, trying to get your attention and take you away from God that it's just so normalized and so comfortable that the very first time that you experience true freedom from all of these things, it is overwhelming. And I see it happen. The chaos that y'all go through, there's so much expectations about the future, about who you're gonna date, or who you're gonna take to homecoming, right? Or how you're gonna do this, or are you gonna start, or you're not gonna start, right? Or what do your parents want for your life? What does your coach want for your life? What do your friends want you to do? Where do your friends want you to be on Friday night? All these things, all this chaos, all this noise. And we become so comfortable in that chaos. And I think something that I hope can help that mindset today of you're waiting for it to kind of pass over is a quote that I heard. It says, "Peace is not the absence of problems. Peace is the presence of Jesus." It's not about getting through this problem because there's always going to be another problem that happens. It's not about just getting through this storm because there's always another storm coming for you. It's about living in the presence of Jesus. Don't wait till the problems just stop, because let me tell you, they don't. But if you have Jesus in your boat, you have Jesus in your life, his presence is obvious. That is what brings peace to all of that chaos. And I want to ask, when's the last time you felt peace? When's the last time that you felt free? When's the last time that you felt calm? Was it way back when you were a kid? How loud has the noise been? And are you looking for that peace tonight? Because Jesus calms our chaos. He brings peace to our problems, and he silences the storms around us. And that's what I'm talking about tonight. And that's what I would love for each of you to have in your life as you walk out of here. So let's wrap it up, because I'm getting out of time. It says that he said to them, "Where is your faith?" But they were afraid and amazed, and saying to one another, "Who then is this, that he commands the winds and the water, and they obey him?" The disciples' reaction is afraid and amazed. Now, you may be kind of confused, afraid, like they're afraid. But I think there's a healthy fear of the power of God. There's a healthy fear to the power. If you watch this, if you were a disciple, all right, on that boat, and you watch this happen, would you not be a little bit freaked out? Tell me the truth. Would you not be a little bit freaked out? Imagine last week when that hailstorm was hitting, and all of a sudden, Jesus was just and he was right beside you, he's just done. Stop. Silence. That freak you out a little bit. You'd be like, who is this guy? What kind of voodoo magic is going on? Right? But they say, who then is this, that even the winds and the waves obey him, afraid and amazed. There's a certain amount of healthy fear of the power of God. And I think that statement means to me, and I think should mean to all of us, is that fear of the amount of power that Jesus has is good. It's good to have, but the amazement comes from Jesus being that powerful, what he does with that power. That even though he is that powerful, he does good. Even though he is that powerful, he has grace. And that's the balance of being afraid and amazed. And so when we witness these things happen in our lives, when we experience Jesus silencing our storms and bringing peace to our problems, we should have a healthy amount of fear, but also a healthy amount of amazement of what Jesus can do in our lives. But Jesus asked them, what question does he ask right there? He says, where is your faith? Where is your faith? Because they believed they were going to die, right? Where is your faith tonight? I'll wrap with this tonight. If you're in a storm right now, if you walked in here and maybe you coming back for the first time in a while, or maybe it's your first time, or maybe you've been coming for a while, but you've been living in a storm, I want to ask you tonight, where is your faith? Do you believe that Jesus can set you free? Do you believe that Jesus can break those chains? Now to close, we have to talk about the beginning of the story that we're going to preach about for the next 4 weeks, right? Why was the storm necessary to go through? Why was it the thing they had to go through? Why did they have to go to the other side? Why did they have to go through the one sea that has all these storms? What was the point of going through all of this? Jesus, why did you make me go through all of this? It says in Luke 8:27, the beginning of the story we're going to preach for the next 5 weeks, when Jesus stepped ashore on the other side, he was met by a demon-possessed man from the town. The why on the other side is the people on the other side of the storm that we are going through. That Jesus sometimes will take us through storms, prepare us for what is to come, not just for our own faith, but for the other person in need, living in darkness, lost with no hope, that there is a why to the other side. If you would just hang on through the storm, I'm telling you, Jesus can use you on the other side, not just for yourself, but for the people around you. For your families, for your friends, for the people you haven't met yet, that there is a why to the other side. There's a reason behind the storm. So don't give up now. Turn to Jesus. Quit saying you can do it and say, I believe God can do it. Quit saying, I'll just wait till it gets really bad. Say, no, I'm making a change now before it gets to a point where I can't turn back. There has to be a decision that is made. Embrace the fact that Jesus is making you storm-proof so you can go out to the world and you can be the change and you can be the light wherever you are. Let's pray. God, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to learn more about you. God, thank you for allowing this place where we can come together and learn more about you, God, and grow together and worship together. God, I pray that as we continue to go through this series, that these students can witness the power of you, that they can see how big you are and yet how personal you are, God. God, I pray for the student in here who's going through the storm, who's experiencing the pain, experiencing the struggle. Maybe they've gotten so comfortable in the chaos that being called out tonight, it makes them a little more uncomfortable because they're not used to being aware. They're not used to hearing that kind of thing. God, I pray for that student as they're wrestling, God, as they feel that feeling down in their hearts, God, of you moving, God, of you chipping away. God, I pray that they turn to you. God, I pray that they quit trying to do it on their own. I know they're strong, God, but they're not strong enough. None of us are. So, Lord, I pray they invite you to be their strength. God, I pray for the student that maybe they did hold on too long. And maybe they made a mistake that they feel like they can't turn back from. God, I just pray that they know that you are still chasing them and that you still love them. And although they might have stayed in the storm too long, God, there is still an other side for even them to get to as well. God, I pray these students hold on to your hope and that they rely on you for peace and for direction, God, as they continue their lives and grow in their faith. Lord, we love you and we praise you. In your name, amen.